Hear your favorite NFL legends sharing their stories and insights every week right here on Thursday Night Tailgate with Chris Mascaro and Bob Lazari. Take it away, guys.
The door is locked. There's no way out.
And now back with us on the Kyvan Foods guest line is former Steelers quarterback Terry Hanratty. Let me remind you a little bit more about Terry's background. He's from Butler, Pennsylvania, which is about 35 miles north of Pittsburgh. We got a little Pittsburgh theme going tonight, which is fantastic. In high school, Terry was a four-sport star. He played football, basketball, baseball, and he also ran track. Played his college ball at Notre Dame, where he was a 3-year starter and a 2-time All-American and a part of their 1966 National Championship team, along with our good friend and Thursday Night Tailgate Hall of Famer, Rocky Bleier. Of course, Terry and Rock would reunite in their days in Pittsburgh as well. Terry is still ranked 11th all-time in passing yards and touchdown passes at Notre Dame. He was a second-round draft pick by the Steelers in '69. Played in the NFL from '69 to '76. All but his last season was in Pittsburgh. He finished with one season with the Tampa Bay Bucs in their inaugural season in the league. Terry was a part of 2 of the Steelers Super Bowl championship teams in the 1970s. He was there for Super Bowls 9 and 10, and we're excited that he is back with us tonight here on Thursday Night Tailgate. Hey, Terry, Chris, and Bob here. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Welcome back.
Well, thanks for inviting me, guys. You know, at this stage of my life, you're just invited. You're glad to invite anywhere. But I was I didn't realize I was still on the radar as far as passing yards because you didn't throw the ball that many times back then. You couldn't play as a freshman back then, so you only had really 3 years to accumulate everything. But I'm at my famous university right now. My daughter's enrolling, and we should be spending a lot of time out here this year.
Oh, good for you! Congratulations to your daughter as well.
Thank you.
So Terry, going back to your time at Notre Dame, and you got to play for Ara Parseghian. Unfortunately, we lost Coach not that long ago. What just kind of wanted to get your memories of Coach Parseghian and what he taught you, not only about football but about life too.
Well, he came into my life, as at the perfect time for me because I was from the broken home. Father was, mother split up. And I needed that man in my life, and Ara was the perfect man for it. Because I had a tendency to have a wild hair occasionally, and he would make sure that I was tamed down. And it goes beyond that. He would call me to his office and I'm looking at your schedule. You don't have any classes for the next 2 hours. Come on over, let's talk. And we just talk about life. I mean, we never even talked an X or an O. It was just how you doing, what class you having trouble with, what do you like, things like that. Just sort of get the vibe of his quarterback. And he was a very special person. He lived to be 94, and everybody said, well, what a great life, 94 years old. But people forget, he buried his daughter. His daughter contracted multiple sclerosis when she was 20. She died at 61. And, he fought from MS for 40 years for her, raising money. And to find out his son, Michael, 3 of his kids, 3 of Ara's grandchildren had Niemann-Pick Class C, which means you cannot get rid of the cholesterol in your body. And 3 out of the 4 children died before their age 12. So that was so much sorrow in his life.
Yeah.
So it took a special person.
No doubt. Terry, like I mentioned in your intro, you spent the majority of your playing career, college and in the pros, alongside Rocky Bleier, who's a great friend, of this show. We've had the privilege of having Rock on many times. Talk about the relationship the 2 of you guys had.
Did he charge you? Did he charge you when you came on the show?
He did not, thank goodness. We've had him on about a dozen times, so we'd be broke by now if we had to pay him.
There you go. No, Rock, he is who he is. Just a great human being. We're together here at Notre Dame. And then, reunited with the Steelers after his little stint in Vietnam. And he lived with my family when he came back to Vietnam. There's no way in hell I would have taken any bet in the world that he would have never played again. And if you just said, okay, what odds you give me that he would have rushed for 1,000 yards? Back then, when 1,000 yards meant something, it was only 14 games. Right. And I'm going, you're crazy. I would have lost every child I ever had to that bet. I mean, it was, but he came back and, just a lot of hard work. I mean, he just killed himself in the gym and on the track. And and Rock's a hell of a player.
And to that end, Terry, right? I mean, the Chief gave him a couple of years, right? Carried him on the taxi squad to, kind of let him heal up, try to work his way back, right? What was that like for you guys watching him kill himself, try to get back?
Well, there was, Mr. Rooney, he was just salt of the earth. And, he said, Rock, if you want to go to, law school, I'll put you in law school here at either Pitt or Duquesne or, one of the schools here. Great law school. And Rock said, no, Mr. Rooney, I want to come back. He said, okay, take your time. You got all the medical people you need here. Whatever you need, I'll pay it for it. And,
wow.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. He made it back. But, he did. Very few could do it.
Bob, questions for Terry?
It's great to speak with you again, Terry. I want to ask you one more thing about Ara. When I think back and when I was starting to watch college football back in the 60s, 70s, Terry, I look at Ara coming out of that tunnel, running with the cleats on. He always seemed like such a motivative, upbeat type of guy. But compare that to his X's and O's ability. This guy obviously was an incredible coach in every way, but tell us some more about his strengths as an overall coach.
Well, his X's and O's were second to none. We were never surprised in any game. There were games we didn't perform well enough, but we never went in and said, whoa, where'd that come from? We never expected that. Ara, he prepared us for every single thing that we were going to see on that Saturday. And the thing is, when we screw up, the biggest factor is Ara took the blame. After the game, you hear his talk, it sounded like he played the game. After that, we shouldn't have thrown that pass, it was a bad call, blah, blah, blah. He never put it on anybody but himself. I think, players really responded to stuff like that.
Yeah, great guy. And I wanted to talk about that 69 draft a little bit, Terry. O.J. Simpson, Mean Joe Greene, Roger Worley, a lot of Hall of Famers, et cetera. Second round, tell me about your expectations that day and how it all came about when Pittsburgh called you.
Well, Chuck Noll called. Back then there was no big hoopla. You sat in your dorm room. They either called you in the dorm or they called your sports information director at the time, Roger Bleier. And he would call you and say, okay, the Philadelphia Eagles chose you and blah, 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 whatever. And, there wasn't this big hurrah where you get the rented suits and all the jewelry and, walk on stage and get your picture taken with the commissioner. But, it was just, Chuck called. And it was nice because, you're going home. Basically, my home is, 30 miles north of Pittsburgh. And, so it was nice to be going back home. And the thing that really, in my athletic career, I could not have played for a better university and I could not have played for a better family in the Rooney. They were, I've been a lucky person. Very, very lucky to have those type of people in my life. And my high school football coach, Ara Parseghian, which very few know except around Western Pennsylvania. He is a National Hall of Fame coach. Ara Parseghian is a National Hall of Fame coach. Chuck Noll is a Hall of Fame coach. So I had it nice, man. I had greatness around me. I had great players around me. And I learned from the best. And it was, you probably couldn't draw it up better than I had it.
And Terry, the talk about, and Bob mentioned, you're being drafted there in 69 and, you came along with Joe Greene and, Joe, by his own admission, acted very poorly early on, almost walked away from the team at one point because of all the losing that was going on. So what was it like, early on for you guys dealing with the mean part of Joe Greene?
Well, no, Joe was mean between the lines. Joe needed to be talked to. Joe's a great guy. He really is. I feel bad for him because he's the only one left in our four-man line. And those are all buddies of his, and they're all buddies of mine. And, to have those kind of losses in your life. But back in the day, no one. Coming from Notre Dame, we never lost. We got a loss of game here or there, but we never had a losing streak. And when you're at Pittsburgh, we won the first game against Detroit. Then we lost 13 straight. And, pretty much got our ass kicked in every one of them. And then you start shaking your head and go, whoa. Put me back in school. But you had to believe in Chuck Noll. Chuck had a plan. And to think about what would happen nowadays if Chuck was hired. He was, relatively unknown, defensive coordinator with the Colts with Shula. But, no one really knew his name. And if he was hired today and he goes 1-13 his first year, where do you think he is?
Right.
You're not with the Steelers anymore, or not with any other team. They'd fire him. The Steelers wouldn't, but any other team, you got to have patience in this league too. Chuck had a plan. He knew that the talent on the Steelers back then was not great. There were some good pieces. Yes. We can, put people around this guy, that guy, this guy. And he never traded for anybody. He didn't want anybody else's problem. He wanted to get them out of college, mold them to his specifications, and go from there. And that's what it is. If you look at those teams, they're all draft choice. I can't remember one guy who was traded for. And that was Chuck's draft, and Art Rooney Jr. was part of the draft, and a lot of other guys. And it was, that's where they're going to do it. But you couldn't do it today that way because no one has that kind of patience. Except
Terry, after you left the Steelers,
imagine the Steelers. Well, imagine the Steelers.
Yeah.
Since 1969, 3 coaches.
Right.
And every one of those coaches won at least one Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you,
right.
if you were an owner, hire some GM, hire some head coach and say, get your ass to Pittsburgh and talk to the Rooney family for a couple of days and see what they look for, how they do it. And it boggles my mind. It's not done. Everybody tries to do it other ways. But if you look at the Steelers, that's a lot of winning.
Yeah, agreed. So, Terry, like I say, after your time with the Steelers, you got that 1 year in Tampa Bay, which happened to be their first season, their expansion year. Team went 0-14. Ironically, your last start as a quarterback comes against the Steelers that year. What was it like being a part of the Bucs that season, and then lining up against your buddies with the Steelers?
Well, you got to realize, I saw the NFL like no one else. My rookie year with Pittsburgh, we were 1-13. My last year with Tampa, 0-14, and 2 Super Bowls in the middle. No one's ever. I don't think anybody's ever done that. But we knew that the Steelers team. The Steelers game. John McKay said, it's going to be, it'll be nice for you to start against your own team, your old teammates. I said, who suggested that? Because that Buck team was not a good team. 0-14, and there were a lot of guys that we go on the road, and some guy that won't mention their name said, we should have just mailed in it and saved the airfare. But we got there and we started the game, and it was like, I came up the line of scrimmage. I thought I was at practice to Pittsburgh. I was looking against the first team defense. And then we tried to throw, and Joe would bust through the line. He would grab me and set me down. Lambert would blitz. He would grab me, set me down. LC, same way. So, I don't think we crossed the 50 in the first half. So at halftime, John said, let's get, Steve Spurrier, a great friend. He said, let's see if Steve can't get something going in the second half. So he goes out there, and they kicked the shit out of him. They were blitzing, and they were going in and hitting him and taking him down. And he come off the field and said, man, your boys took care of you. They beat my ass up. So it was an interesting game. Put it that way. That's it. Chuck let the clock run in the fourth quarter. Yeah. He told the officials, this is not fair. Just let the clock run and get out of here.
And you mentioned head coach, John McKay, who was a real character. I love some of the things that he used to come out with. My favorite was, we didn't tackle well today, but we made up for it by not blocking either. So he always with the sort of the one-liners. What was he like?
He's, always the one-liner. Like the other one was, what do you think about your team's execution? He says, I'm all for it. Those things are comical now, but at the time, you're getting your ass kicked. You don't need a smart-ass coach coming up with this shit. You really don't. And that's the way we all felt. John McKay is great at banquets, but if they learned how to coach better, we probably would have been better. I'm not saying that we're going to go in the Super Bowl, but, that's why that 1 year I said, this is it for me. I'm retiring. I thought it would be nice to get out to an expansion team and, sort of lay on them what, I learned in my Hall of Fame coaches that I played for. But after that 1 year, you saw the whole makeup of the coaching staff and John, and, you just don't like to be, if you said that today, imagine that. He said that you'd have the Players Association all over you. You'd have every player's attorney jumping all over you. You can't get away with that stuff. But John thought it was funny. I'm glad he got a kick out of it. We didn't.
So, Terry, before we let you go, I got to get your thoughts. How do you feel about the Steelers, this season? How do you feel about, their chances to finally get maybe, obviously got to win the division first, but get past the Patriots and maybe play for another Super Bowl?
Well, that's the whole thing. It's getting back, when does Tom Brady even slow down? He talks about when he's going to retire. I'm just saying, when's he going to slow down? This guy's a machine, and I think the most valuable person up in that New England organization is the offensive line coach, because Tom doesn't get hit much, and that's their scheme on the offensive line. I'd love to watch film of the line to see how they block, because you can't really see it on TV. It's just, a blur. But, they're always going to be there. I think the Steelers, Ben stays healthy. I think we're going to be just fine, because he's got a lot of weapons to work with. I think they're making a lot of adjustments on defense. They've added a few pieces, and they had a lot of young guys who got a full year under their belt. I think Mike Tomlin I think he's a wonderful coach, no matter what Bradshaw says. I think he gets the best out of these kids, and you can see you can see that these guys play for him. They want to play, they want to win, and I think it's going to be a good year for Pittsburgh. I really do.
Terry, before we let you go, how can our listeners stay up to date with what you're doing over social media?
I don't do. You mean on Facebook?
Yeah.
I don't do my, I sort of enjoy that. I never thought, when my daughter first went to college, she put me on Facebook and LinkedIn. I didn't know how to do that stuff. I'm old school. And I sort of getting a kick out of Facebook. You can sort of add and subtract who you want to. Anybody who's against Trump, I just throw them out. But everybody else, we have a good time and, exchange thoughts and exchange jokes. And, I don't see any problem with that.
Terry, thank you so much for taking time out of your night to come back and be a part of the show tonight. Congratulations again to your daughter for getting into Notre Dame. Have a great time there, and we look forward. We hope you come back again and join us again real soon.
Well, you got my number, so give me a call anytime.
All right, thanks, Terry.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
That is former Steelers quarterback Terry Hanratty. I love that piece at the end. I don't care what Bradshaw says about Tomlin. So that's great stuff, Bob. He's fantastic. I love Terry.
Colorful guy, and what stories he has, and always a pleasure speaking with him.